Welcome to Understanding Behavior, Understanding and Responding. By problem solving why behaviors occur, we can better strategize ways to respond. Remember, it's about us, not them. Take a deep breath, step back and think, what's going on here? Be a detective. Ask yourself, so what? What would happen if I ignore it? If the answer is nothing, then perhaps it's not a behavior that needs to be changed. Are there any safety risks to the person or others? Does it impose on the person's dignity, for example, disrobing in public? Who is the behavior affecting, me or them? For example, does it really matter if the person listens to the same CD every day? There's no safety risk. It doesn't impose on their dignity. It seems to bring them enjoyment. This behavior is affecting me, not him. What can I do to adapt how I respond? I could put headphones in, maybe leave the room. If it's really affecting me, I might consider offering to play a different CD and see how receptive the person is. Let's compare this with another example. Does it matter if the person consistently hides their medication? There is a safety risk. If I ignore it, it may continue. The worst thing that could happen is that they have an adverse health event. What can I do to adapt how I respond? I could keep the medication in my possession. I could consider staying with the person while they take their medication. If they have anxiety about taking a medication, I could consider adding it to their meal if it's something that could be taken with food. We need to become a detective and figure out why they're hiding their medication. If medications continue to be a problem, consider contacting the health authority for support. Keep in mind that support can be added on as the disease progresses. Using the 5 W's can help us look for patterns that might reveal what the person is trying to communicate. What is going on? Is this behavior something that we want or need to change? Is anyone in danger? Where is it happening? Is it always happening in the same place? It may be scary, confusing, uncomfortable, or maybe it's too loud for them. Can things be changed in the environment, or can the place be avoided? When is it happening? Is it a time of day or when a particular noise happens? Maybe an indication of the person's energy level at a particular time of day. Does the person think they should be doing something else? Who is around? Is it family, staff, a volunteer? People with dementia may find certain individuals difficult to deal with because of a past memory or their voice level. Why? Is there a trigger? What happened just before? What happened earlier that day? Is it task related? Is it physical? For example, are they hungry or thirsty? To put this into practice, let's take a look at an example. Margaret rummages through the kitchen drawers every morning. What is going on? That is, what can I see and what can I observe? What is her emotional state? Does she seem scared? Is she anxious or content? Is there anything in the drawer that can harm her, such as sharp items, lighters, medications, etc.? Is she leaving the drawer items on the floor, creating tripping hazards? If yes to the above, there is a possible danger to this behavior and intervention is needed. If not, there may not be a need to intervene. Where is it happening? The rummaging only happens in the kitchen and involves several drawers. Depending on how many drawers are involved, items can be redistributed within the kitchen so that potentially hazardous items are out of Margaret's reach. If all of the drawers are involved, consider installing cupboard locks to make the cupboards inaccessible to Margaret. Provide an alternative safe space to rummage close by. When is it happening? The rummaging always occurs in the morning after Margaret gets dressed and lasts for half an hour before she moves to the living room to take a rest. She appears to be focused on the task, but she's content to rummage around during this time and doesn't appear to be distressed by it. Who is around? No one is around when Margaret rummages. She engages in the behavior regardless of whether there's others in the kitchen with her. Why? Is there a trigger? It appears that the time when Margaret rummages is just part of her daily schedule. There doesn't appear to be an additional trigger. She may be looking for a particular item or maybe just rearranging the cupboards to match the organization of her previous home's kitchen cupboards. When trying to figure out why a behavior is occurring, there's 4 areas we need to check out: physical, environmental, task-oriented, and communication. The detective work is in figuring out what may be causing the person difficulties. The solution comes in making changes and seeing if they make a difference. Remember, every individual is different. What works with one person may not work with the next, and what works today may not work next week, and vice versa. You may need to continue trying different things in order to get a response or be understood. Let's consider what might be some physical reasons for a behavior. Depression. There can be a very high occurrence of this in people living with dementia. It's underdiagnosed, but it can be treated. Many of these issues are treatable. It's important to remember that people with dementia increasingly lose their ability to express their needs. If in doubt, talk to your doctor. Medications. Are there side effects or interactions? This includes some herbal supplements. Consult with your doctor before starting any new herbal supplements. Acute illness, for example, urinary tract infection, fever, or flu. If you notice a sudden change in behavior, make sure to explore possible illnesses. Chronic illness such as diabetes or arthritis. People with dementia become increasingly less able to express their needs, including the fact that they're experiencing discomfort or pain. Undiagnosed pain can give rise to many behaviors that caregivers find challenging. Pain can have a profound impact on how we behave. If you suspect pain may be an issue, ask, does it hurt? Can you show me where it hurts? Keep in mind that the person can't always tell you if it hurts or where it hurts. They may also be unable to experience pain. Constipation, this can be very painful and can affect hunger, mood, and overall comfort. If this is a problem, consider tracking when it occurs and under what circumstances. Dehydration, this can exacerbate the symptoms of dementia. Hunger, some people with dementia metabolize their food more quickly. Also for people with cognitive impairments, daily routine is hard work, and hard work requires more fuel. Try more frequent, smaller meals. You may need to alter routines, for example, eating before the morning ritual of getting dressed, washing, and brushing teeth. Sometimes even a few crackers on a bedside table can be enough to satisfy a person until breakfast. Fatigue. When the brain is compromised by dementia, it's tiring work to stay alert. The brain has to find detours to perform normal functions. Just remember to allow extra time to rest in the day as a disease. Now let's look at possible reasons for a behavior that you can attribute to the environment. Too big or too small. Relate to what is known of the person's life story. What type of space is the person used to? Emphasize the importance of a person's past in figuring out what type of environment is best suited for the person. Unfamiliar decor or furniture. This can be unsettling. It can prevent independence if the person doesn't know how to use something. For example, dimmer switches or a hidden flush on the toilet. Contrast. Highlight the features you want attention drawn to, such as a light switch or toilet. Decrease the contrast to discourage the use of features you don't want attention on. For example, a drawer that contains sharp cooking utensils. For example, a brightly colored light switch against a beige wall helps the person find it. Contrast between the color of the floor and the walls can help with depth perception and judging the size of a room, especially as the disease progresses. Glare can look like water on the floor. Confusing patterns can be unfamiliar or overwhelming. It can contribute to shadows, which can be perceived as people or things not there, and it can be very frightening. This is called a visual mistake and is often misunderstood as a hallucination. Too cluttered. This can be too stimulating for the person and distracts from communication. No cues. No indicators of what's expected or where things are. For example, leaving toothpaste and a toothbrush on the bathroom counter can cue teeth brushing. A picture of a toothbrush on a drawer can cue where the toothbrush can be found. Also keep this in mind when trying to discourage a behavior. For example, if the person is leaving the house when they shouldn't be, remove coats, shoes, and keys from the entranceway. Keep in mind that negative cues like dark or black tiles on a light floor can appear like a hole and can be very frightening. Some reasons for a behavior that you can attribute to communication are receptive aphasia. This is difficulty with language coming in, for example, language comprehension. Words are difficult to understand or they lose their meaning. For example, the person appears agitated when they've been asked to take out the garbage. They may have trouble understanding what the word garbage actually means. Expressive aphasia, this is difficulty with language going out and makes it difficult for them often to generate a response. The person may have trouble putting words together into a sentence. This can be frustrating for both the person with dementia and the caregiver. Anomia, this is mixing up the names of objects or people. The person will often speak in generalities or use a word similar to what they intend to say. For example, asking for the broccoli but being passed the peas, which is what they actually asked for. This can be frustrating for the person with dementia when they're being misunderstood. Can't hear. Are hearing aids in and working properly? Is there background noise that's making it difficult to hear? Damage to the auditory cortex, which is located in the temporal lobe, affects the ability to distinguish between sounds such as words from background noise or words from each other. Can't see. Does the person have their glasses? Is damage to the occipital lobe affecting their vision? Loss of depth perception, impaired ability to see movement, and also the narrowing of peripheral vision, such as tunnel vision. I'm just going to stop you right here for a moment and ask you to participate the best of your ability, or just picture how this would be. This is called the binoculars activity. Hold your arms up and open to make a T shape with your body. Look straight ahead and wiggle your fingers. Can you see them? Keep wiggling your fingers, and while keeping your arms straight, slowly move them in front of you. Stop once you can see your fingers. What is in your line of sight? Do you feel that you're seeing enough in front of you to understand what's going on right now? Our peripheral vision narrows naturally as we age. For people living with dementia, this decline occurs much faster, resulting in tunnel vision. Now bring your hands and thumbs together to make binoculars. Look around where you are using only your binoculars. Pay attention to how much less you see unless you make a real effort to look around. Too many choices. This can be very overwhelming, and the person may not remember all of the choices. Open-ended questions. The person may have trouble making a decision. For example, deciding what to have for lunch can be a big decision when the possibilities are almost endless. Rather than asking, "What would you like to eat?" try rephrasing to limited choices such as, "Would you like soup or a sandwich?" Remember, keep it short and simple. Loss of vocabulary. This results from changes in the hippocampus and temporal lobes. The person may no longer know the word for something. This can be very frustrating for them. There may be some good reasons why a task may result in certain behaviors. For example, it might be too complicated. Try breaking down the task into smaller steps and demonstrate the steps as you instruct. Too many steps. The person may have forgotten some of the steps and feel stuck. Keep the number of steps to a minimum. Too many choices. This can be very overwhelming. Remember to limit the number of choices offered. For example, if you're offering a drink, say coffee or tea. Unfamiliar. Is the task something the person recognizes from their earlier years? For example, using a computer will become unfamiliar to someone as the disease progresses. Loss of initiative. This results from damage to the frontal lobe. Help the person switch on to a task by showing them how to do it and maybe participate with them. Try presenting the task in different ways, such as different time of day, location, with or without music, etc. Fear or uncertainty. This can stem from unfamiliarity with a task. It may be overwhelmed by the sensory stimulation of an environment. The person may be uncertain about their ability to do the task or what the task is or what it involves. For example, a person with dementia may decline going for coffee with a friend because they're unsure about what to expect in the conversation. Pay attention to what may be triggering the fear or uncertainty. Try removing the stimulus if that's possible, or move the person to a different environment. Reassure them. Bored. All people need to engage in some sort of activity that they find meaningful. Not interested. Is the task something they're simply not interested in? For example, refusing to paint because maybe they've never liked painting. Is there another task that you can give them that they'll find more interesting? For example, Gary doesn't like setting the table for dinner, but he loves folding napkins. You may feel a bit overwhelmed at this point. The good thing is that helpful strategies for responding really fall into just 3 broad categories, making it easier to remember them. They are validate, reassure, and distract or redirect. To validate, take a few deep breaths to calm your emotional brain, your limbic system. Focus on the person's feelings rather than facts. Does the person appear frustrated or are they sad? Avoid using logic or reasoning. Thinking skills won't work. Validate the person by putting yourself in their reality. For example, if the person's upset because she believes she has to go to work, rather than correcting her by telling her that she's retired, validate her feelings and provide comfort. Remember to connect, not correct. We have our reality and the person with dementia has theirs. As the disease progresses, our shared reality will become smaller. Are we trying to bring the person back into our reality, or are we willing to meet them where they're at in theirs? Therapeutic fibbing is one way that we can validate their reality and what it is they're experiencing. It's important to remember that this is fundamentally different from lying to the person because of the motivation behind it. We're not trying to fool them or trick them to get something for ourselves. That's usually the motivation behind lying to someone. Instead, we try to step into their reality because we're aware of the changes in their brain and we're trying to provide comfort and support. The person with dementia has a brain disease. They can't make the changes necessary to join our reality, but we can make the necessary changes to validate what is real to them in theirs. Here are some strategies for responding. You can agree with the person rather than arguing. This will ease the frustration for both of you and will prevent escalation of the behavior. Accept blame when you can, even when you didn't do it. The person with dementia may be feeling unsure themselves. Taking the blame can help ease their anxiety or their uncertainty. For example, if your mom couldn't find her glasses, you would say, "I'm sorry, Mom, I must have moved your glasses when I was cleaning. I'll make sure to put them back next time." Reassure the person that things will be okay. Is the behavior related to an unmet need for comfort, safety, and security? The person may feel insecure about something or just simply in need of comfort from a person they trust. For example, "I know that going to the doctor can be scary. I'll be with you the whole time. I'm here for you. It will be okay." Distraction or redirection are terms that are often used interchangeably. It's a way of breaking the person's attention by engaging them in something different, such as a new topic of conversation or a new activity, such as, "Would you like some tea and cookies?" or "Would you like to help me set the table for dinner?" You can distract or redirect with a familiar activity that the person with dementia enjoys or sees meaning in, such as watering the plants or perhaps looking at photo albums. This strategy can be particularly useful if the person appears to be perseverating or stuck on a topic or task. You may find it helpful to make a record of the behavior, the 5 W's, and how you responded for future reference. Remember, who is involved in the behavior? Who is around when it happens? What might be causing the behavior? Is this a behavior that needs to be changed? When is a behavior occurring? Where is it occurring? Why do we think the behavior might be occurring? Keeping a record of this information in a journal can help you see patterns and develop a range of coping strategies. It will also help you better identify under which circumstances one strategy works better than another. Let's look at some examples. I'm going to take a couple of minutes with each of these, and I'd like to share some ideas on how we might respond in these situations. Your person has a prearranged doctor's appointment that you've been discussing for the past few days. When you mention that it's time to leave to go to the appointment, they say, "What doctor's appointment? There's nothing wrong with me." You could offer a short explanation. "It's just a regular checkup." Or you could accept blame. "I'm so sorry I forgot to tell you." "Someone at the bank is forging my signature." You can respond to feelings. "That's a scary thought." You can reassure. "I'll make sure they don't do that." You can also redirect or distract. "Would you like to help me set the table for dinner?" "Who are you? Where is my husband?" You can reassure. "He'll be back in time for dinner." And you can also distract or redirect. "Would you like some milk and cookies?" The best solutions come from our knowledge of the person and our own creativity. You will have to adjust your responses for where the person is at in the disease. We can meet the person with dementia where they're at by adapting how we communicate, managing our own stress response, and engaging with them in activities that are meaningful to who they are. The photo in this slide was taken by Mario, who is a person living with dementia, and is included with his permission. If you have questions about information you've heard here or any other questions about living with dementia, please don't hesitate to call our First Link Dementia Helpline Monday to Friday between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m.